tell me your biggest goal. And one of my old linemen said, I want to score a touchdown. And I said, okay. And of course, his teammates thought that was hilarious. By the end of the season, he scored a touchdown. And it was the best thing ever. I mean, he was psyched and on board, and the wheels started turning in everybody else's heads, and it just was magic.
Welcome to the Behind the Fitness podcast, where we interview the world's most motivating and successful fitness trainers, instructors, and coaches to inspire people to be their very best every day. Thanks for joining me today. I'm your host, Ted James. Now let's get going. Our guest has worked with many athletes from the NFL, NBA to gold medal Olympic athletes. She has a bachelor's in art and dance, the highest possible yoga teacher accreditation, and has been a massage therapist for over 20 years. She's been seen on The Today Show, Dr. Oz, Fitness Magazine, and so many more. I want to welcome Gwen Lawrence. Today, we'll be getting to know Gwen and understanding how mindfulness and yoga can have huge benefits for athletes of every sport. But first, Gwen, tell us something that you believe can make you successful in health or fitness that many people might disagree with.
Well, I think long and hard about that question a lot, and it really is kind of simple, and it boils down to, in my opinion, a positive attitude, a can-do attitude, and goal setting. I like to use the analogy, if you were going to build the house of your dreams, you wouldn't just call a builder and say, okay, here's nails, here's screws, here's drywall and wood, go build it. Because he's going to build what he wants, right? But if you want to build the life of your dreams, you need to make sure if you do it yearly, monthly, weekly, that you're writing down attainable goals and sticking to it, taking action on them every day. And that's, I think, really, really important, no matter what you do, fitness, business, whatever your life brings you to. I think goal setting and a positive attitude.
Okay. Custom goals that are what you want to get where you want to go.
Yes. Correct. Right.
Fantastic. Yeah. That makes sense to me. All right. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems simple. Well, can you give us a little bit more background on yourself and then tell us what drove you to find your love for yoga for sports in the beginning? What is the why behind what you do?
Okay. I think it has been a decades-long tornado whirlwind of events in my life, starting from a child. I was a dancer from the age of 3 all the way through college. So I really developed an acute sense of a body awareness. And as you mentioned as well, I was an art major in college, which doesn't kind of seem to match, but it really does, because I did a lot of figure drawing and learned about structure and proportions and symmetry and things like that. And then once I graduated college, I went to be a massage therapist and work more in the medical massage field. And that's when I started to get hands-on with symmetry and knots and bumps and what's going on in people's body. And at the same time, since I'm 15, I've been with my husband. So we're married 31 years, together for 38.
Congrats.
And he was on a journey from when we were, thank you. I appreciate that, because it is rare, and we still want to spend time with each other. And since I've known him, he was on a journey to become a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So I had a very unique opportunity. I went to 2 doubleheaders every weekend, and I was this 16, 17-year-old girl with electric blue hair in, the 80s and 90s. You're too young to even understand. And I don't know even who I thought I was, but I took my own chair and I plopped it right next to all the scouts, and I picked their brain. What does he need to do? What are your times? I got this. And they loved it. They loved me. They didn't see me as a burden or a pain. They embraced me, and they really started to teach me things. And my husband got hurt, so I went to rehab with him. And then after massage school, I started doing training, and it's almost even a blur in my mind, but I started as a massage therapist with the New York Giants. Oh. And I was lucky enough. I know I was working with several celebrities and came into contact with Kathy Lee and Frank Gifford, and worked with them for nearly 20 years and talked to Frank a lot. And Frank referred me, got me in the door, and I stayed in the door for 16 seasons. And it was kind of another unique opportunity that I had that a lot of people don't get. And while I was waiting for players to come and get massages, I was watching them practice. Okay. And sometimes things didn't really quite make sense to me. And for example, they seemed a little stunted in old school workouts and things. And I was noticing that the old linemen were doing the same drills and exercises as the wide receivers. And to me, that made my head explode. That didn't even make a little bit of sense because, old linemen, right?
Right. They have different jobs.
More stable and solid, right? And this push and then the elusivity and grace and speed of a wide receiver is so different. So all of this knowledge from through my husband's career and my opportunity to watch the Giants really started to make me think. And while I was training, I was actually training an actress. You're also probably too young to know who Glenn Close is, but I was training her for movies. And she just happened to say to me, if I send you to school to learn yoga, would you be my yoga teacher too?
Oh.
And I was like, all right. I really was, I was very content doing the medical massage and fitness, and it changed my life. And then I started to think, the athletes need this, and they need this because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'm going to start pitching it because I was already in the door with the Giants. Right. And there I stayed for 16 seasons, and subsequently 6 other pro teams in New York and individual athletes and so on. And I know that was a long-winded explanation about how
very cool.
It's been almost 30 years of doing it now. So, yeah.
So
I did, sorry to interrupt you, but I did start my own school so that I can train people to do what I do, because I clearly can't be for every team in the country. And it's been great. I have trainees in 19 countries and 28 states. Wow. So it's definitely trickling down and becoming more commonplace.
Fantastic. I mean, obviously it's working and helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
So to go.
Well, I'm biased. But
yeah, of course. No. It wouldn't catch on, if it didn't work, I'm sure.
True.
So to back up before you started with the Giants, and how did you start working with some celebrities? Like you went from, with the blue-haired girl to, and then you're working with celebrities. Can you tell us about that space?
I could tell you, and it was, I don't know if you're going to say universe, God, circumstance, whatever it was. I graduated from massage school. I passed my state boards, and the day after I found out I passed my state boards, I got a phone call from the school, and I was afraid to call them back because I was afraid they were going to say, "Ooh, mistake, you didn't pass." But I called them back, and what I didn't know is that they had a client referral service, and literally it wasn't based on your talent or, your standing in the yoga school. Mm-hmm. I mean, the massage school. It was location.
Oh.
So they said, we have a client for you. So day one being licensed, I had my first client, and they said, it's about 8 miles, 10 miles from your house, and it's David Letterman.
Well, that's cool.
That's cool.
Wow.
So I said, all right. Yeah. I'm glad I called back.
Right.
And that was 4 years every night. and at 10:30 at night. And it didn't matter if I was, if it was a snowstorm or if it was a holiday, I had to be there. And I met him after he filmed every night. So that gave me a credibility after I worked with him for a little while. So I saw, Regis Philbin talking about his back hurting and so I just called and I said, I'm David Letterman's massage therapist and blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of, the word of mouth, right? Gets like fire. So this is before social media and internet. So this is the old fashioned viral.
Old school, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds lucky.
That's it.
But
circumstantial. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I held the job. That's the key, right?
Right.
One thing to get in the door, but to hold it is another thing.
Yes, for 4 years. Yeah. Every single night?
Yeah. 5 nights a week.
5 nights a week.
10:30 at night. And at that point I had little babies. So I would sort of force them to take a nap with me during the day because I had to leave at 10 o'clock at night and my husband would do bath in bed but it worked.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like your husband definitely helped out a lot too. So good for him. Very cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, let's talk now more about mindfulness and yoga for athletes. You've worked with everyone from NFL teams to Olympic athletes, but most of us are not NFL players or Olympic athletes. We do activities like golf, tennis, hockey, cycling, a bunch more.
Yeah.
How can mindfulness and yoga make a difference and transform our lives?
All right. Well, let's start with yoga. My company, Power Yoga for Sports, really functions on 6 principles, and that's balance. And balance, I mean physical balance, being able to balance, right? Not fall. Mm-hmm. But also, more importantly, is symmetry in the body.
Oh.
And if you become asymmetrical by virtue of life, past injury, or sports. So if you think about it, if you play golf, you're swinging on one side. I don't really even know, a switch golfer, like a switch hitter, but you have a dominant side, right? So when you keep training that side over and over, there becomes imbalances. And it's those imbalances, when they become too far off, that result in injury. And I've seen it, I'm going to say 99.9 times out of 100. And wow. I walk down the street every day and I have this curse and I have this gift that I've now passed down to my son and my husband, that if there's someone walking in front of me, I go, oh, their shoulders are screwed up. Oh, look at their feet. Oh, they're going to have an ACL injury by next year. And so it's that.
Okay.
My yoga is also based on functional strength working, movements. So no weights, although sometimes we do weights. Flexibility, which is the misconception that that's all that yoga is. So balance, strength, flexibility, mental toughness, which we'll get to, focus. So it's really about trying to stay present on your mat at the moment and do the best you can, focusing on the pose rather than dreading that pose and moving on. It's training your brain to just be and breathing. There are many different types of breathing that can help your performance, that can help your anxiety. I work with pro athletes that had pregame anxiety and threw up before every game. Ooh. So we couldn't have that, right? That was depleting. So give them these anti-anxiety breathing techniques and help them sleep for better recovery and so forth. But those are the 6 pillars of the type of yoga that I do. And if you've ever seen any of my videos, then I'm sort of a little tough love kind of person. I'm not as, and I think that that's what works and how athletes respond a little bit better because they understand that. Yes. I call myself a yoga coach.
Okay.
Right.
I can see that. I've done a couple of your videos now, and it seems like you have a little bit more. You're more pointed, I'd say, which is great. I mean, it kind of makes sense now that you worked with these, professional football teams and athletes of all different kinds, and that's probably kind of the culture that goes along with that. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there needs to be a level of respect. And if they don't know anything about yoga, they're going to come in with these preconceived notions, and I sort of blow it out the door on hour one, and really set the tone that I'm one of your coaches now, and this is how we roll,
Take it seriously.
And then it does kind of roll into the mindfulness that you mentioned. And when I first started almost 30 years ago doing this, that wasn't a thought. It was part of yoga, but it wasn't blended as much as it is right now. And I think it really started about 10 years ago. And coincidentally, I was still with the Giants and with Coach Coughlin as the coach. And every year we would have a little meeting, and he would say, what could we do this year to better the program? What kind of goals do you have for the team for next year? And I would always come up with something. And one year together, we came up with creating a mindfulness program.
Okay.
So Coach TC tells me, all right, go do it. Make a 6-week program, and the entire team, medical staff, training staff, and coaching staff are all going to do it. I was like, okay, I can do
No
this.
pressure.
So I'm in their, venue where they're all in the stadium seating on the stage, Coach Coughlin front and center. And for 6 weeks, for 1 hour, I wrote this custom mindfulness for athletes program, presented it to them. And there's a lot of pushback, but just like when I first started yoga, and until I started putting practices into their life daily, did I start getting feedback. And now I teach this all over the country, this course. I sell it online as a curriculum course for school teachers, PE teachers, coaches, trainers, other yoga teachers. And I really get some really nice feedback from it. Okay. But just for people to hear the why, it's really kind of simple. And if you ever watched baseball at any level, if the pitcher loses it mentally, you've seen it a million times. They're done.
Yeah.
The batter knows, the manager knows, they're going to, throw everything at that guy, even verbal chatter, right? Once they get in their head, it's over. And look at OBJ when he was a New York Giant, right? He got a little hot-headed sometimes and lost control sometimes. Instead of finding a way on the sideline to turn the page after that bad call or bad throw or, the catch that didn't happen, he let it snowball until it was out of control, right? So it's that kind of thing that you want to avoid, and also just to give you an easier, happier life. It's really critical. I mean, that should be stage one with all athletes, because if the mind's not there, I don't care how gifted you are, it's just not going to work.
Right. And we've all seen that with multiple players. You see it all the time.
Yes.
Sometimes it gets so bad, like it ends careers, but yeah, it's
absolutely
everywhere.
Like tickers, right? If they're not mentally there and they keep missing, that's in their brain. It's this loop that plays over and over and over. So I have to teach them how to get out of that loop, how to turn the page, how to visualize. I think you hear it all the time with the championship team. One guy said, I saw it happening. I saw myself holding that trophy at the end, and it happened. I saw myself hitting the game-winning home run. I had a football team and made them do some goal setting. I said, make it the biggest, craziest goal you can imagine. Don't worry how you're going to get there. Tell me your biggest goal. And one of my old linemen said, I want to score a touchdown. And I said, okay. And of course, his teammates thought that was hilarious. Right. By the end of the season, he scored a touchdown.
Nice.
And it was the best thing ever. I mean, he was psyched and on board, and the wheels started turning in everybody else's heads, and it just was magic.
Very cool. Can you give us some examples of things you would do for mindfulness, like in a day? Like, can you give us an example of what you would do with a team to have them work on that?
Yeah. So I like to teach athletes eyes open and eyes closed techniques, because they don't always have the time. I think a lot of people think meditation. And I think mindfulness is a little bit different. There's something that you can do with eyes open. You're not just lying there, a lot of them don't have time for that. A lot of them have this mind chatter that doesn't allow them to be still like that. And they just can't ever succeed. And I was one of those people too. I just couldn't slow down and be quiet. So there's a couple of techniques that you learn in 5 minutes. And again, it's not rocket science. It's really very easy. And the first one is diaphragmatic breathing, which is basically breathing in and out through your nose and deep down into your belly. So what that does physiologically, now this isn't a yoga theory, this is a medical, physiological fact that diaphragmatic breathing actually slows down the heart rate and shuts off the fight or flight response.
Okay.
So instantly calms you, lessens anxiety, gets you to the point where you can kind of cut down that mind chatter and be clear at task at hand. So you can do that coming off the play, on the sidelines, on the, court, on the side, in the dugout, eyes open, and calm yourself down. A lot of players and game situations are keeping them at this high level of activity, brain function, breathing. And so if the game is an hour long, which most, competitions are a little bit longer than that, you can't be at this heightened, excitable state for that long. It's very wearing on your body, your organs.
Okay.
It will deplete you and you will wear out a lot quicker. So, and that's life, whether you're a businessman too,
Yeah.
You remember those Newton's cradles, those things that you pull the thing up and it goes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Remember those things? So I kind of think of it like that. When you're in an overstimulated environment, it's constant stress and anxiety and fear and trauma and thinking and what ifing. You're in that high Newton's cradle, right? It's back and forth, and everything you do demands an equal and opposite reaction, and it just keeps going. But really, you just want it to tick, 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 and calm down and center, settle the water, which then becomes clear, and then you can move on. Then you can access your playbook. Then you can make the play that you need to make. Then you can call on your body to do what it needs to do. But we're not meant to be at these high levels of stress for long periods of time like modern life demands. We really need tools to settle down. And that is the core of how mindfulness can really benefit athletes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fascinating. A lot of things that are racing through my mind now, like, wow, I've seen that before. One thing that popped in my mind was when I'm watching football and I see these guys out on the field, they're going 100% and trying to bust through it. And then, 5 seconds later, they show them and the guys sitting on the sidelines and they're relaxed, sitting on their chair, kind of making a joke to the next guy over or something like that. And it's like, I'm like, how do they, it almost seems like, are they not trying? But now after I listen to you, it's probably trained and taught to them, go to the side, chill out. And then once you get your helmet back on and you cross over this line, it's back on again. So.
Right. It almost forces sort of a panic situation if you're constant anxious. And then if you've ever been in a panic, and some people are really good in a panic situation, but you can't figure out what to do, even though, let's just say your fire, alarm goes off in your house. Oh my God, right away, take a deep breath, calm down, think about it, and then go and be productive with it. You can't, you do want to run out of the house before it burns down, but you don't want to be, cuckoo about it.
Yeah.
And it really, there's 6 techniques in all that I teach them. And diaphragmatic breathing is by far the easiest. Day one, most effective, whether you want it during a game or before sleeping or even before, a meeting, so that you're just more productive and intelligent during the meeting.
Okay. I might need to start doing that before these podcasts. Not that they're very high stress or anything, but it never hurts.
Well, maybe some people don't talk, right? And you have to kind of pull it out of them.
Yeah. All right. No, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense. And I have a feeling that when I'm watching sports on TV now, I'm going to pick up on some more of these things. But yeah, that's everything that you do. It's fascinating to think about the more in depth that these players we see on TV and athletes probably do. I mean, we only see what's on the field, but there's so much more that they do and so many layers that they do, especially these days. But very cool.
Yeah. Because if you're hurt, someone's there to take your spot tomorrow.
Yes.
You have to stay on top of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Well, next I want to dive in and get to know you personally a little bit more. Would you be able to give us a quote that you live by, and how would you apply it in your day-to-day life?
So the one I really love and I look at every day on my desk, and I wrote it down because it's a little bit longer, but it's a person who walks in purpose doesn't have to chase people or opportunities. Their light causes people and opportunities to pursue them. And I think, because if we turn back, kind of what I was saying, I started 30 years ago, and 30 years ago, it was about building this resume, and my resume deck is this thick, and the people I worked with list is this long. And in this modern age and social media age and things like that, I've been told that doesn't even matter. No one cares about who you worked with. And it kind of hit me in the heart and punched me in the gut, because it was my life's work and my passion and all I care about. And it kind of bummed me out for a long time. And I came across this quote that, because I don't want to do social media all day, every day. It's just not who I am. And I think I'm better served doing some videos and putting them on YouTube for people. Yeah. And when I saw that quote, I thought, I just got to keep doing the right thing, the right way, with integrity. And I don't have to be on social media for people to find me. They'll find me, and it will work, and it will be okay. And it's true.
No, I agree.
It's true. I got off Instagram and I couldn't be happier. And I was under the impression if I got off Instagram, I was going to, lose business, and nothing changed.
No.
So that quote kind of keeps me stable.
Yeah. And it makes so much sense. I mean, just doing what brings value to other people. I mean, that's what it's really about. And I mean, I think a lot of people can see through the social media game a lot of times. So, no.
Every time something blows up on social media, I go, oh, maybe it's going to go away now. So far now, but
we'll see. I don't know. Things are always changing.
I know.
Now.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us who is someone in your life who you really look up to? And can you give us a specific time that they had a big impact on your life?
This is always, I look up to my husband a lot. I look up to, some people I cross paths with over my lifetime. But when it really boils down to is someone I mentioned before. And speaking of integrity and loyalty and trust, I always go back to Coach Tom Coughlin. And the way I had the opportunity to watch his practices. Sometimes he would even pull me onto the field, and the players would be saying, Coach is calling. I go, so? And Coach would bring me on and talk to me, and how's your team going? And the trust that he put in me for years and years and years meant everything, and kind of brings me back to that quote, right? And I remember one thing specifically that rings in my head all the time. from the little things that I do, preparing for this podcast, to big giant projects that I want to do. I asked him before Super Bowl that week when we were prepping for Super Bowl, I said, do you sleep the night before Super Bowl? And he goes, I sleep like a rock. I go, how is that possible? And he goes, Gwen, I know I did everything we possibly could have done to prepare. So I sleep sound knowing we did everything. And I thought, that's so true, right? If I just check my boxes, make my goals, walk in purpose and integrity, it's okay. And I'm going to sleep and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about what I said, what I did. I know that I was always in pursuit of doing the right thing. And it sticks in my mind all the time. And how he led that team and how I see other coaches lead team and the respect he demanded from how they dressed to how they came to practice it was really something special to watch. And I always emulate that and admire that. And even now I know that he's going through a tough time with his wife is ill. And I just know that he and his family are just a class act and really doing everything they can to make this the best time for their family's life. But he's a special guy. And I was really blessed to have worked with him.
That's great. Yeah, that is awesome to have someone like that in your life, a leader like that you can see working every day. That's got to be a huge blessing for you.
It was amazing. And I really got to see after he left, I was there for 1 year with Coach McAdoo, and it was night and day. And then I really realized how lucky I was to watch 15 years with Coach Coughlin,
Okay.
So, yeah. Maybe that's another podcast. Maybe that's the tell-all podcast.
Right, yeah. All right, well, what do you do when your mind tells you to stop and not go work out or not get that yoga session or not do that mindfulness or thing you need to do to better yourself?
Yeah. And I think that's a daily struggle for most everybody,
Yes.
Right? I mean, I happen to really love to work out, but after doing 5 teaching sessions in a row, sometimes I'm fried. But I think the key is to really listen to your body. And there are instances where it's just okay to just go couch it, watch a show, and do nothing. But what I've learned, and I've a lot older than you, is that get to the mat, get to the gym. They're part of my goals. So I know that I have to take action on my goals every day. And I don't think I've ever been bummed out that I did it. Right. But there have been instances where I thought, I probably could have done even just 10 minutes, So I know now there's been so many years that it's just not worth skipping because I know I might feel a little bit bad later. So I just do it. I mean, Nike says it right?
Just do it.
And you won't regret it.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to the last thing you said about checking those boxes and staying on the path and knowing you did everything that day. Because, I mean, how many times do we get to the end of the day and we're like, I totally could have gone. I had time. I should have gone.
Right.
I know I would feel better right now if I did, but I didn't check that box. So.
Yeah. Yep. And goals are about taking action, every day. It's one thing to do the goals, but if you're not going to, do what you got to do to get there, even if it's a little teeny tiny thing, even if it's one email or following up on that email, it's not going to happen. Even if you give the plans to the builder with exactly the house that you want to build, unless you stay on that builder and look at the materials every day and recheck the drawings, it's not going to come out like the house of your dreams. Right. So you definitely need to get to the mat, get to the gym, stay healthy so you can be a little clearer thinking. And that's not to say I don't have anxious days, and I'm the first to admit it because people think, you're a yoga teacher. How could you have an anxiety attack? This is
human.
life. This is the way it is. So don't blame don't blame yourself. Just get through it, turn the page, and start over tomorrow.
Do what you got to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know we were talking before the podcast about working with different players, but do you have any stories that you'd want to share about interesting stories about working with different players or anything that, really sticks out over all the years you worked with these professional athletes?
Well, when I really think about it, I think about 2007, the O-line for the New York Giants, and the synchronicity in that O-line that I think hasn't been touched since 2011, since they won the second time, that they taught me, they don't just go to work, but they had a bond, they had a connection, they had a brotherhood that really notched it up. And there was no egos. There were very big support system. That O-line, I could text any one of them today and they would text me back. And I think that that's sort of something that's getting lost now. It seems to be more all the me thing and not the team thing. And I always loved working with that O-line and that particular year, Amani Toomer, just real hardworking, go get it, positive, real, authentic people. Yeah, they're not untouchable. They're just real sweet people.
That's pretty cool. That's got to be a great experience to look back on and seeing all these guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, we watch it, especially with all the fantasy sports now and all about stats and stuff.
Yeah.
It really individualizes these players, and sometimes you look at them and you're like, they're beating each other up a lot of times, and you don't see the sweet side, the human side that is really behind that as much.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean, there's a million stories, but yeah, I think the good ones really just stick out in my mind a lot, and the bad ones I kind of just put behind me.
Good.
And not bad in a bad way, but bad, maybe they weren't on board with me, and it was just a boxing match all the time, trying to get them on board just to listen to something that'll make them better. And the funny thing is, I could always tell from rookie day one who would make it by personality and symmetry in their body and their feet, believe it or not. And I'm not a foot fetish person, but if they had weird ankles or, unstable, low tone feet, or I could tell they weren't going to last long, and their attitude coming in young always stayed with them.
Okay.
So I could tell right away. And there's several examples where I could say, I no likey that guy, and I can't even tell you where he's playing anymore.
Oh, all right.
You
make me want to go look at it in a mirror and be like, am I symmetrical? I don't know.
Well, I could do a body analysis with you one day.
I'm going to send you pictures right after this. And be like, all right, what's wrong with me?
All right.
How soon before I'm injured?
I do have a whole thing. I have that on my website, and I do it with people all over the world. They send me a series. I send them, maybe it's like 12, 15 pictures, and they have someone take pictures of themselves in those exact positions. And I'm like a mad scientist. I have a ruler and a marker, and I'm marking it all up and writing it all down and telling them what I see, everything from these physical things to emotional things that I can tell from their face and maybe the way they grew up. And then I write their yoga prescription, and people love it.
Wow.
And I really get a lot out of it, because it's something that I'm good at, that I can really share with everybody.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's amazing that you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that came from the whirlwind of figure drawing and dancing. And if you're off in dance, you'll fall,
Sure.
So it just came from all these experiences I just happened to have. And yeah, like I said, it's a curse and a gift, though.
All right. Wow. Yeah, that's great. So if anybody out there is interested in that, definitely check out her website, and hopefully you can help more people that way.
Yeah. You email me, I'll do it for you, and then you can
All
see
right, that sounds good.
It'll be my gift
Fantastic.
to you.
No,
If you're game, if you're brave enough.
I know it's fascinating to think about all that now. So yeah, I will take you up on that. Absolutely.
All right. Deal.
All right. Well, so this is the last question. This is kind of the change the world question that I ask everybody at the end.
Okay.
If you were able to pick only one short message sent completely anonymous to every person in the world, and they would really, really listen and take it to heart, what would that one message be?
Listen to your mama. No.
That is a good one.
Your mama knows. But I do think if I could just say, sort of reiterate what came up a couple times, is kindness, gratitude, loyalty, trust, integrity. It all counts, and it's cumulative, and it's something you got to work at every day to be a better person for you and to be able to serve and give back and be a better person for others, for sure. But listen to your mom.
She'll tell you that same thing. No, that totally makes sense. And it wraps into everything you kind of said. I mean, being able to tell which players are going to make it and which ones aren't. I mean, it probably wraps into the gratitude and everything else you just listed. Exactly. Are you going to be successful? Are you not going to be successful? I mean, that's
right. You think you're going to hand it to you, or are you going to work hard? It's your choice, really. You think you shine when you were 15, gets a little tougher when you're in the MLB, NFL, NHL. It's a little different. Now we're talking about all elite. Mm-hmm. So, really working every day to be a great person. I think arguably, are you from New York?
No, I'm in Michigan.
Okay. Well, in New York, we had Jeter, and obviously you know who Jeter is. Yes, he's from Michigan.
Everybody knows.
Right? So, I mean, great player, yeah. The best player? I don't know that you could say maybe he was the best player, but he worked from integrity and loyalty to the team and was a hard worker and built that trust with the fan base. And he seemed like a very grateful person, and he's legendary, yes. Right? So some of that stuff can sort of overtake an ugly personality that's potentially very talented, I think.
I think that's just true. Yeah, that's not even opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Good. Then I'm going to move it from my opinion to fact.
All right. Well, can you share with us how we can connect with you and how we can check out the different programs that you offer? And then we're going to say goodbye.
All right. Yeah, great. If you went to Gwen Lawrence, and it's GwenLawrence.com, that's my website. That's all my courses. It's the mindfulness. It's training to be a power yoga for sports teacher. It's training kits for 13 different sports. It's the online analysis and more. And you can email me through my site. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. So Gwen Lawrence on all of the above.
All right. Well, after the show, head over to behindthefitness.com. You'll find links to videos for each episode, links to connect with Gwen, and more. And if you're an athlete of any kind, be sure to check out Gwen's programs. She has programs specifically made to give you the breakthrough that you're looking for in your specific sport. Gwen, thank you so much for coming and talking with us and letting us get to know you better. It was truly powerful.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.